from Palm Desert, California. That's right, Omar. I've switched it up a bit.
Wow.
With me, you know him as the czar of the virtual background. Amazing Blackburn Rovers background today. The one and only Pro GK Academy, Omar Zeenni. And the reason he's got that background is because we have goalkeeper coach for Blackburn Rovers, Danielle Hill, joining us. Dan, thanks for being a fan of the show. Honestly, that means a lot to us.
Oh, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, I've been having a little look through and seeing who the guests are just to make sure it was legit. But yeah, no, I was really looking forward to coming on and talking about it.
Well, so let's basically, for a lot of the people out there who might not be kind of familiar with kind of, the game over in the UK and everything like that, and kind of like, your transition from being a player not that long ago to becoming a goalkeeper coach. Why don't you tell people a little bit about kind of like your role at Blackburn Rovers and how it came to be?
I was, as you said, I was a player for quite a while. Was playing, so I played at the higher level. So I played at Everton, played for England, and then unfortunately, when I was about 21, got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So kind of played through like a tough obviously it's a disease, so I played through that, and then I had to come down a couple of levels just because of how my body was reacting to how I was playing. So I played at Blackburn when they were National Premier League, and when I went in there, they were doing okay, but not great. Went in as a player, literally was there a couple of weeks, and then managed to get me start, and then played ever since then for 3-4 seasons. And then when I got to about 29, and I was like, right, I'm ready to, although 29 is a young age for a goalkeeper, with the body that I had, I was like, right, I can't keep doing it. Like, I'd play on a Sunday and I couldn't train until a Wednesday. That's how bad my body was. So I tried to retire at 29. So Gemma Donnelly, who's the manager, has been there for about 15 years. She was like, every time she'd be like, oh, just one more season. So I ended up retiring about 6 times, and then officially retired last year. So I did sign on for last year, but it was more for the progression to support the goalkeeper coach, support the younger goalkeepers, and then obviously potentially have that transition into the coaching side. So probably around about this time last year, the goalkeeper coach unfortunately couldn't stay on with Blackburn, so it was just an opportunity that I couldn't really not take up, and obviously I still had to go through all of the process, but I even before that I was like, right, well, I'll support, and did the sessions with the goalkeepers, really enjoyed it, and I always knew that was something that I wanted to go on to anyway. I did have experience before, but it was very much football, like playing was, when I was leveling it out, it was always the playing before it became the coach. But then absolutely in the last couple of years, it's gone more coaching to playing. And then officially last year, ended the contract as a Blackburn player, moved on to the coaching staff, and then COVID hit. So we had a couple of weeks off, I ended up being about 2 or 3 months, and then I've just kind of got back into it. Obviously, with us being classed as elite, we actually trained through COVID. We had a couple of weeks off, but then trained through COVID. So for me, pre-season's it was amazing for me to have the goalkeepers. So I got to select who I wanted to come into the team. I picked the profile of the goalkeeper, what I felt was the right fit for the Blackburn team, and then I actually developed the players as it through. So this has probably been my first full year as coaching. So I'm quite new and quite a novice when it comes to the complete goalkeeper as a coach. But I feel like I've brought absolutely the playing experience and all of the levels that I've played at. I now see it from a coach's point of view, but I also see it as a player's point of view. And I think it's really, really good to have that on the coaching side of it as well, to understand the demands of the goalkeeper.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, one of the things that Omar, I mean, he always discussed this in regards to his channel, and one thing that I'm really big on myself personally is that as you're developing as a player, you need to understand the game. and honestly, you need to become a student of the game. The way I am with my goalkeepers, like I want them to be able to go and run a session for somebody. Like if they can't run a session for them, then I feel like I haven't done my job.
Right.
Yeah, because they're dependent on me, or they're dependent on any sort of coach, rather than as understanding the position. And Omar, I know you've been really big on that as well too.
Yeah, no, of course. I think that's the end all be all for coaches is if you're not there, can your goalkeepers not only run the session, put a session together, but also understand the things that you as a goalkeeper coach are trying to look for, the coaching points that you would make. All the things like that are super important. I think my goalkeeper coach growing up at the Galaxy Academy, he would always say, guys, like, if I'm not there, you guys should be able to coach yourselves. And he allowed us the opportunity in the sessions to, if the U18s, and when I was the U16s at one point, so the U18 guys would take us under their wing and they would tell us, hey, you need to do this better, you need to do this better. And then as I got to the U18 level, because he allowed that space for the older guys to coach the younger guys, now I'm seeing the position again. I'm trying to help the younger guys, and I'm trying to give them a little bit of understanding of what the coach is looking for, what we want as a goalkeeping unit to have the sessions run smoothly. So it's super important. But Danielle, I want to ask you a follow-up question to that. Like, as soon as you got into coaching, I think when I got into coaching, I realized, oh my God, there's so many things that I should have been doing as a player. Was there anything that kind of stood out to you?
I think probably looking after my body a little bit more was probably a big one for me. Yeah. So like after a game on a Sunday, I did a little bit of recovery, but I absolutely didn't do enough. And then I think even not coaching as well. I think when I got older, I realized that, and then I was like, right, as a coach, that's something that I'm really gonna. It becomes one of those things that you just become like, oh, don't forget to do your ice baths, don't forget. And now the girls don't even. They go to me, yeah, I've got it, yeah, I know, because I'm just like, honestly, like if you look after your body, you'll go so much further in your career. So that was probably the biggest thing for me is recovery.
Yeah, no, I was the same way. Like I remember just post game, in sessions in preseason, I think, and everybody's taking the ice baths, you're good. But I think like just diet, for myself included, when it came to going to the gym. I remember I had a game against people who are international to know this, but like Sacramento State is like our biggest rival in our conference. And the day before,
you're saying Sacramento State is not like world renowned? Is that what you're saying?
They're definitely not. People don't even know who UC Davis is. But anyways, I hadn't worked out in a long time, and we had our strength coach, and he said, "Hey guys, I want you guys to come in." So we had individual workouts, and I went in. I did bench press. I did all this stuff, and then the game obviously came, and I couldn't lift my arms up over my shoulders. My body was so sore. And ever since that moment, I said, I'm going to swear off of lifting for the rest of my life until I'm done playing. And I just realized that, like, had I actually had the proper habits and I would have actually, spaced it out or started in preseason or even before preseason, just kept it a part of my lifestyle, I wouldn't have been sore. I could have had body management, like, weight management in terms of the amount of weight that I put on the bar. So then I would have been just, progressing little by little by little, and then having my body be able to fight off what a full season throws at you. And I think that is something that I really do wish. And now that I'm not playing anymore, I eat better. I work out a lot more. I take care of myself. I get the proper sleep. I just wish all those things were a part of, or benchmark a part of my career. But again, there's so many different factors, the college scene, the fun scene. There's so many things you can do that you get caught up in. But I think hindsight's 2020, and I wish I would have done that more often.
I just want to say right now, by the way, guys, Saskia Weber has joined us.
Hey guys, sorry I was late.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Nice to meet you. Yeah, good.
Nice
Thank
to meet you
you
too. I'm good. I came in right at the right time. I'm telling you, because I mean, I know I would have gone further in my career had I done other things as well. I mean, I tell the kids.
Okay, you were an elite athlete. What are you talking about?
I know, but I don't think I would have retired as soon if I didn't have a herniated disc in my back and stuff like that. But I think even now, older, like, getting out of bed hurts. But it's
I absolutely feel that.
I know, like I had to squat down and look for something under the bed today, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get back up? but it was I tell a lot of parents and stuff like that, like they're like, what would you have added and stuff? I hate yoga, but I'm like, do yoga twice a week, do something like, because the girls don't stretch, they don't they warm up properly, they don't cool down properly.
Absolutely.
And even with UCLA, like we're on them, we're just like, why aren't you guys cooling down? You got to cool down. And then that turns into like a social session.
That's an international thing.
They're all hanging out. They're all hanging out, kind of walking, kind of stretching, talking about stuff. And we're like, with the national team, we had proper cool downs, and we had partner stretching and all of that stuff. But I think that that's something that everybody has to do, starting even at a young age. And kids think they're invincible. They get out of, even when I do privates, they get out of the car and they're like ready to go. And I'm like, we got to warm up. You got to stretch, They're like, they're eating cheeseburgers and playing a game.
I wish.
Good. Think about it. Like kids after a game, even they jump in the car. I don't know what they do after that.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
I want to say this right now because I love what everyone's saying right here, because we're all talking about like our what ifs, like what if we had done this, what if we had done that, or whatever. And honestly, it is really hard. And Dan, this, that to tell a 23-year-old, like, hey, you know what, you really need, because when you get to be my age, that's gonna, because they just think they're like, well, that's never gonna happen. Like, it's not me. Like I'm never gonna be in that position whatsoever. And then now, as all three of us here are all coaching. And the thing, is it 4 or 3? I can't count. Anyway, there's 3 of us, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of us. I'm really bad at math.
What is going on, Mike?
I don't know. But we're all transitioning. We've all gone into coaching. And I'll be honest with you, one of the reasons I wanted to do this topic is because I feel that I don't take care of my body the way that I should to be the best goalkeeper coach that I can be. And it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different than being a player, Dan, and as as you've recently retired and everything. So kind of as we kind of ease into this, into this topic right now, what do we kind of mean by fitness and, and a certain level of fitness that we're looking for?
I think as a goalkeeper coach, you've kind of got a little bit more responsibility on, a lot of the time you're one-on-one with a goalkeeper. So your technique, your quality, your service, all has to be top quality for them to get their service and obviously their session out of it. Whereas if you're a coach on an outfield, you've normally got 5, 6, 7 at least other players that could do a demo for you or whatnot. Whereas we are their sole server. Sometimes I have 2 or 3 other goalkeepers, but most of the time I will just be 1v1. So I think I think that's a big one for other coaches as well to understand that we have to really maintain our fitness, our bodies, our making sure that we're stretching before sessions. And you might look like, keep the keen coach there stretching, but honestly, that when you're doing a 1v1, you're having short, sharp movements, and then if you're doing edge of the box stuff, you're taking a touch and actually striking the ball. Like I said to the girls sometimes, if they're doing it and they're striking it and it's dropping into the goalkeeper, that's not game related. Game related is that striker's going to put it in and fire it in. So they're the type of services that we want. So I think for me, that is the biggest part of it, is that the goalkeeper, if you're not fit enough to do it, the goalkeeper won't get what they need out of the session. Yeah. So that's a big thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think the real thing is that when you're talking about that striking of the service thing, and we had Paul Rogers on not that long ago from Houston Dynamo, who worked with the women's national team for a long time, and he's such a big proponent of like the service makes the session. If the service isn't, if it's not good service, and Omar, I know that you went back and forth and you're like, I need to improve my service, and the only way I can improve my service is changing those habits that you had as a player, your diet, your stretching, all of that. So why don't you kind of talk a little bit about that?
No, I think definitely. I think that's, whenever we talk about, whatever the session goal is, if it's a one-on-one session or if it's a group session, you obviously throughout a season, you don't want to beat your goalkeepers up. So that service has to be so clean so that we're working on, like I call it fast approach, slow arrival, like fast movement into a deceleration movement prior to a shot. And a lot of times we're just focusing on that movement. And if you can't strike a ball consistently, let's say it's a half volley or balls that are dipping right in front, or even, shots off the ground, right foot and left footed in the bubble, then the goalkeeper is not going to get what they need. And so as the season progresses, not only are the goalkeepers going through it every day, you're also stepping in there as well. Like, I remember at Cal State LA, when our starting goalkeeper, he had the day off, I was still out there with the backups, and we had 3-4 guys out there. So I'm still striking balls even on, starting goalkeepers off days. So my hamstrings, my groin, my hips, all that. So I needed to take ice baths. I needed to put ice bags on my knees for my knee tendonitis. I needed to do all this stuff. But again, all those bad habits needed to kind of be put to the wayside, and understand that if I want to have a long and consistent, career as a goalkeeper coach and serve the ball the way that I want to, and then recreate, simulate and recreate, what's it called, game realistic sessions to strike the ball like a striker does, you got to be fit, and you got to make sure your body's taken care of. So that's what I would say, is do a lot of that stuff, but at the same time, so much information on YouTube that you can go and watch. We're not experts, but there is still enough information for us to go out there and obviously, really make use of it.
Now, Saskia, you were fit your entire career, and you're still a very, very, very fit person. So you obviously came from it. You had this certain discipline of you, coming into coaching and everything like that. But even you yourself said you had to kind of change a little bit of the way that you approached everything, because it's a little bit different. It's not a 2 hours, and then cool down type of a thing. It's like I'm out there on the field for 4 hours, maybe with kids.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, not so much anymore, just with UCLA, but even in this fall, like in the beginning of the fall, we had to split the sessions because of COVID. And so I was out there for 4 hours. And I think that it's, identifying, I can't train like I used to. It used to be my job. I used to train 6 hours a day in some capacity, whether it was in practice, then it was weights, then it was whatever. Working with different types of coaches and stuff like that. I can't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. And it's kind of, keeping yourself strong enough to be able to strike those balls. But to be honest, also knowing your limitations. Like, there's no way right now that, I'm dropping in like 40-yard crosses. It's not going to happen. You're going to get a couple out of me, but thank God I do have several goalkeepers, and I can always use some strikers and stuff like that. But as far as like services around the box, in the box and stuff like that, yes, you have to be on point. You have to stretch. Because I've definitely pulled some stuff, and like I've skipped it and come out and just started striking balls and knowing that was just the wrong move. And as far as like fitness, your question, if I go to players, and not us old people, if I go to players, and I hate parents, especially, I don't coach club anymore, but you get those questions like, why does my kid have to run the same fitness as the team does because they're a goalkeeper? And my answer to them is that fitness testing it gives us a baseline of an athlete and fitness, and then we move on from there. And so if you're required to do the beep test, if you're required to do 120s or something like that, there's a certain baseline we're looking for. Yeah. And then, your goalkeeper fitness might go on from there and stuff like that. And yeah, I get it. Maybe the goalkeeper doesn't have to do as many 300s or as many 120s, but they do have to do a certain amount to let us know that they're baseline fit. And I also add into that, because especially with COVID, my goalkeepers coming back and they're fit. Trust me, they're fit. They're fit as the field players, but they haven't hit the ground. And so I'm like, now you have to add on your goalkeeper fitness, because if you haven't hit the ground, your body is going to be in shock. And I equate it to like a football player that they don't use, there's no contact. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to get out there on Sunday and you're going to get nailed by like a 350-pound lineman, and your body's not used to that. Well, if you're throwing your body all of a sudden up and down off the ground, you're going to hurt something if you haven't been doing that consistently. And you can do that on your own as well, whether it's up downs, where it's just collapse dives or whatever, but that's a different type of fitness. And it's, and
absolutely.
So, yeah, it's true.
I've got a great story about that.
I want to hear it.
So it was when we were preparing for a World Cup. It was England under 20s. And it was the likes of Steph Houghton, so the England captain at the minute. There's like Ellen White, so all the first team now. And we were in Chile, and it was like the tournament before the World Cup, and it was the exact same question. It was like, oh, why do we have to do all the same fitness as the goalkeeper, the outfielders? And I was like, well, that's just what we've got to do. And then the outfielders go, well, you know, we're just as fit as the goalkeepers. And we were like, okay, let's do.
Oh, I got a similar story.
I am talking basics. So we did a session. I was the goalkeeper at the time, so I'm the English 20s, and it was the goalkeeper coach who just delivered. And I'm talking, he was 3 cones, and it was a tap, 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 dive.
Right.
6 of them were in the physio room after it. They'd only done it for 15 minutes. 6 of them were in the physio room. Pulled hips, pulled groins,
shoulder.
And that is like the basic stuff, and you don't realize that those type of fitnesses is a completely different to an outfield.
Yeah,
I have brilliant in that story.
I have a great story. Mia Hamm, we were, and she tells this story as well. We were in camp, and they were doing fitness, and we were doing pressure training fitness, and that was no joke. When we were doing like 12 drills, wanting to throw up. And I guess like Mia made a comment to Tony about like, why don't the goalkeepers have to run our fit in like our 120s and stuff like that? So like a couple days later, we had to do fitness again, and Tony put the entire team through pressure training. And Mia Hamm tells a story, and she said, I never in my life will ever bitch about goalkeepers not doing different fitness. She was like, it was probably the worst experience of my life.
That's exact same, like the worst training we've ever done, and it was like the basics as well.
And we're like, we're getting up, we're standing up, act as if like I want to die, but act as if, and they're like laying on the ground, like oh my god, like everything. Yeah.
Omar, do you have any stories you'd like to share from either playing for England or the U.S. women's national team? Do you have any of those?
I do have a story, but it's not. I can't drop any big names like you guys are dropping. So please forgive me, anybody listening. But no, I think Saskia said a really, really good point about for just having a benchmark for as just fitness as a player. I think from there, then you develop your goalkeeper fitness, which I think we'll get into later on. But I remember we played against New Mexico, who was one of the best teams in the country. And I think their program folded now, but they're one of the best teams in the country. We had no business being on the field. And I remember before the game, I was exhausted because we're probably like 10 games into the season. So I'm already tired. We're on a road trip. So we step into the game and I make 1 or 2 really good saves. And I'm like, okay, now I can kind of, go off this energy. I got this vibe on me now. And then the adrenaline kept going. I saved a PK, and then we score a goal. So we're up 1-0. Then second half, I'm even more fatigued, and they keep shooting shots. I keep making saves. And then an easy shot that had nothing to do with the rest of the saves that I was making. Easy shot I should have saved. I dove like very lazily, pushed it into the goal, and now we're tied 1-1. And then we ended up winning 2-1 later on, and I made 1 or 2 saves after. But just the idea that if I wish I had been a little bit more, had my like benchmark of fitness ready to go, I think that would have carried my goalkeeper fitness and complemented it very well. Versus I was so exhausted. That's why I tell kids all the time. I tell young strikers, I say, a little secret. Hopefully this doesn't get too public, but I'll just say, look, if you're in a game and you feel like you're going to get a lot of chances in that game, just try to get as many shots on frame as you possibly can. Every goalkeeper has a bandwidth, and that when that bandwidth is reached in their terms of fitness and their focus on those shots, they're going to start making some technical errors because of how many shots you put on frame and how many times they've had to make a good decision. Yeah. That by the time you're at the end of the game, you might get a shot that beats them. You watch again this past weekend, Iguita for Crystal Palace had an unbelievable game. The 1 goal he concedes was just a shot that kind of curled last second. So just like things like that we make easy mistakes. I think it's just a goalkeeping fatigue. But if we had that proper benchmark and that proper like initial fitness level, and then complement that with the goalkeeper fitness, I think from there that really elevates you and really separates the good goalkeepers from the really, really like excellent ones.
Yeah, I mean, you can't come in unfit and expect me to get you to that level and then get you game fit and goalkeeper fit and hardcore training fit. Like if you come in without that baseline, then now I'm wasting my time getting you just to the baseline to get above it. Now, if you come in with that and have that baseline of fitness, now we can work hard. Now we can train. Now I'm not worried about you getting hurt. And now I'm not spending my time bringing you to that. And that's just the bottom line. To be an elite goalkeeper, to be an elite field player, everything, you have to maintain that level. And no, you're not expected to be at World Cup fitness level all 12 months of the year, but I don't expect you to drop so low that now I'm spending my time getting you back fit.
And you know, Saskia, before we move on, I think there's a really good point there, Saskia. And I think I had a goalkeeper at Cal State LA, and you know, the coaches always say they have to pass the eye test. If you look like a starting goalkeeper, you're in shape, you look good, you will get, you know, points. After that, obviously, you know, there's going to be the actual sessions, and you have to look good in the pregame session, in the pregames and all that. But if you don't look the part, then most coaches would be like, "Oh man, you know, you didn't take your summer seriously." Right. And I remember we had a kid at Cal State LA. I won't say his name, but he, you know, there was a time where in the spring he came back extremely, cut a lot of weight, looked really good. So we were all on him saying, "Congratulations, you did so well. You're not the starter yet, but in come fall, you're gonna look, you know, you're gonna give us an opportunity to actually see you for who you are because you've lost all this weight." Come the actual fall season, he gains a lot of that weight back. And then in sessions, he's looking great. He's doing really, really well. But the eye test, you lose the coach's trust if we send you home and you come back into shape. That's like a big middle finger to the head coach and the goalkeeper coach. Now the goalkeeper coach looks at me and says, "Why is that guy not in shape, Omar? What's going on? Did you not follow up throughout the summer?" I'm like, "No, I did. He told me he was doing his workouts, but he didn't come in." He's like, "No, I'm not mad at you, Omar. I'm just telling you, like, now we treat him a certain way because he pretty much gave us the middle finger and said, 'Hey coach, like, I know you want me to come in fit. I did for a little bit. I took my foot off the gas.'" And he says, "Omar, that tells me everything I need to know about him. When the going gets tough, takes the foot off the gas, and we can't trust someone like that." So that kind of stuff it plays a lot into the psyche of the coach.
Perception is a lot of things. For me, when I would train with the national team, like even no matter how hard the fitness was, you would never catch me like after like a pressure training drill or something like that, you would never catch me still sitting on the ground. I'd be up on my feet, standing there, maybe wanting to throw up, but you wouldn't see it in me. And that was where the act as if thing came up. You know, and it gives you a mental strength. Like if you look over and see another goalkeeper laying on the ground, taking that pause, you're the one standing on your feet. It also lifts you, being like, all right, you might feel the exact same way, but nobody's going to be able to see it. You know?
Yeah. That mental strength's massive for it as well. Yeah.
I want to bring this up right here because speaking of being on the ground, this is actually the positive of being on the ground. Dan, I went down one of those rabbit holes. I found a bunch of Dan Hill clips out there, tons of Danielle Hill clips right there. This right here showcases something we do not do as goalkeeper coaches anymore, but and that's bury into people like that. Go right into right there.
Absolutely not.
You're just happy that your body's not going through this anymore.
That's it.
But when we've been training like this over and over and over again as players, and obviously you've just transitioned over to being a coach, it's really hard to get out of that mindset, right? But we kind of need to learn how to be able to take our foot off the gas. That was a big mistake for me as a young coach. Was I would go a little too hard, or I'd be like, "Oh, let me demo," and so I'm starting to do all these things or whatever, and the next thing I know, I can't strike balls because I've been training like I'm playing in the game.
Let me demo. You're like, yeah, right. I know. Tell me if they haven't done it. Like we have our 4 goalkeepers. One of our goalkeeper gets hurt, and we're doing like a small-sided tournament at UCLA, and they need another keeper. And they look at me. I'm like, absolutely.
I say there's a mannequin in the shed there.
I'm like, I got throw one of the managers in. I'm like, I'm not getting in the goal. Put a small goal. I'm like, this isn't like, I'm not a field player. I can't like avoid tackles and just pass the ball. I'm like, these girls are like blowing my goalkeepers in the back of the net. You want me to come out for breakaways? I've been standing here. I'm like, I'm not doing it. It's not gonna happen.
That's an international thing. They just go, you see a goalkeeper, they see you with gloves on and go, "Oh, you can go in." I'm like, no. I finished that 3 years ago.
Last time I said yes to that, I dislocated my shoulder. It's not happening.
Oh yeah, definitely don't do that again. Well, it's so difficult because I have literally, I guess, just hung the gloves up probably only last year. So when anyone says to you, "Oh, like can you?"
You want to. It's in your head and in your heart.
Okay. Yeah, and then I got to the point where I was like, I literally need to stop. I need to stop saying yes now because, as you say, the type of players that we all play with, well, we coach now, they're athletes. They are they're like a completely different version to what I am now. So I'm like,
and I gotta be honest with you, and this isn't an arrogant statement, there's a certain perception that I'm not gonna lose either.
Absolutely.
I mean, people look, I tell them what to do, that means they know I can do it. And I'm like, if I get a goal, everything's going out the window. My timing's gonna be late. I'm not gonna hold on to the ball. I'm probably not gonna get up after a rebound because I can't. And I'm like,
that's what we were talking about.
I'm like, no, they're like, Saskia, World Cup champion. She's awesome. I'm like, that's right. And that's all you're going to remember.
Well, I say I choose me demos. I choose not to do the top hand saves. Obvious. And then I choose to do 1v1s and edge of the box stuff. I'm all right with that. I can still clip some, so I'm all right with that. But when I'm talking about to the keeper top hand save, I'm like, right, so one of the goalkeepers will come in and show you that.
Exactly. So here, come over here.
I'll give you the technique. I'll tell you what to do. I'll tell you when to do it, but I'm not showing you how to do it.
It kind of looks like this. Okay, go. It's true though, but you have to understand your limitations. And Mike, to answer your question, it's a very hard thing to get over, and I still go through it. Like I see drills that I love. That I loved, like they were doing team trains our last practice, and it was probably one of my favorite drills with the national team, and that's because I'm nuts. And just watching my goalkeepers do it and knowing, like in my mind, I was like, oh, like not to say that, but I was like, this was my drill. I could do this so much better, and just wanting to get in there, but like I can't. It's in your mind what you know you could do, but it's not in reality. Sorry, no matter how fit you are right now, it's not going to happen. Like Omar, I'm pretty sure you're not going to demo like top hand saves.
Oh, I do. You know what? Well, keep talking. I'll show you. I went to a camp last year to do a demo, and I honestly did not do horribly. I just definitely, like, you forget the goalkeeper fitness does definitely it kind of weighs it, you lose it over time, and when you step into like one drill, you're like, I hope to God that my just kind of muscle memory comes back in this very moment, because I don't want to look bad in front of other people. And it takes courage, you know what I mean? It's like nerve-wracking. Now, whenever I ask a kid to do a demo, I'm like, I know why you feel a little bit weird. I know, I've been there before. So let me find this clip, and you guys keep going. I'll come back right now.
Oh my gosh. Would you say honestly, Dan, would you say probably that's the biggest mistake that young goalkeeper coaches make, is they try to do too much physically during a session?
Yeah, absolutely. And then if it becomes about you, then it's not about your goalkeepers. So you need to really let go of them gloves, and then let them see the mistakes as well. So if you're getting someone else to do a demo, that could be your real coaching point there. So if someone's coming in to do a demo and you, I don't know, let's talk about top hand save, and they're going one step and dive, and you're not getting quite there, that's your real point of coaching in there, and you can get in and.
Yep, she froze.
Dan, did you freeze? Hello?
Yeah, she froze.
She froze. Hopefully,
just keep saying hello though until she comes back.
Hopefully she'll come back. I think she was just talking about just the simple thing of the mistake that you make. Let's see here. Hopefully she comes back. Hope she figures out. I wonder if she's still been talking, thinking that she's still there. Nope. I think she's back.
Hi, sorry.
No worries. We were just saying, we're like, she's probably talking, and she probably just thinks we're really, really captivated by what you're saying.
Your face was like. So I was saying about like having that person in there sometimes is where you can go in and coach as well. So if you're given that demo and you're given the coaching points, and then they go and do it wrong, you can then go and coach in. So I think for me, like that was a biggest thing. That for me, that is one of the biggest things I'd say for a young coach is let the players have those mistakes in them, or let them do the demos, because sometimes they'll do demos better than you as well. So sometimes it's okay for them to go in and show you as well. And sometimes you'll have if there's a couple of goalkeepers in there, you'll normally have the one who's a little bit stronger. I normally tend to put them and let the other goalkeepers do the demos, to let them see the difference between, the senior goalkeeper as opposed to the third choice goalkeeper, and show that real difference in it. So, yeah.
I think. Well, gosh, I hope they're not listening. I'm like, I mean, I have one of my goalkeepers. I can't rank them. I won't on podcast, but one of them is incredibly technically sound. She might not be our starter. And I like using her for demos. Do you know what I mean? Because like, you know, in those situations, because there's a lot more to goalkeeping. So like you might be great in drills and technically sound and all that stuff. But if it's, you know, certain things aren't translating and everything like that. So I'll say that, done. But technically, like, you know, if you were taking a snapshot of the perfect way to demo something, like she's perfect at it. So like I'll use her, whether she's my first or not. And I don't care if anybody else has heard about it. Like, hey, so-and-so come up here, you know, let's demo this. Yeah, you know, so everybody else can see.
You know what? Hold
on.
on.
Hold
on. What we got?
Oh, watch! Look at this full speed. My body was dead after.
Is that full speed? Is that full speed?
That's full speed.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
I could have still done. Oh, at 21, I was on the World Cup team, so okay.
I know. My dreams.
I'm almost 50
ended
here, so there's a big difference between me saying I'm not going to demo something and at 28 you saying you're not going to do it. So now you can do everything. You better be able to do everything at 28. I was winning a World Cup at 28. Yeah, I'm giving you hell for that one. I'm sitting here going like, yeah, I'm not doing that, but I have an excuse.
Hold on. Also, Omar, I also want to give you a little bit of flack. It's like you knew where that. You knew where that ball was going. That was a telegraph ball.
Yeah, but they took it from the ground.
Well, you should have used that because that's a good example of not having to use your top hand. No, exactly, I have nothing. Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that save. Top hand not required there.
That's true.
That's true.
Honestly, I would love to do a review on this. Honestly, if we could just like stop the podcast and talk about my technique, I really need to know.
Can we just do a break? Can we, Dan, are you down? Can we just do it?
I feel like you could have attacked the ball more.
Yeah, and we can probably get you back playing.
Okay.
I'm gonna use Omar for my demos now.
I want to talk about this though because go ahead, Omar. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say with the UCLA budget, fly me on a helicopter. You can do whatever.
You know the helicopters land right there. Although
I know.
They're landing at the hospital.
I know.
Yeah, true.
Dan's looking at like I'm at a pro club. We don't even have a helicopter landing spot right on the field.
No way.
Honey, if you're on that helicopter, it's not a good situation.
Oh, okay.
It's UCLA Medical Centers right there. So helicopters fly over the field, and we're just like, oh, that's not good.
Well, to go on to something more positive and a happier place, I want to say that like one of the biggest mistakes that I made as a young goalkeeper coach, and by a young goalkeeper coach I mean until like 2 weeks ago, was training like a goalkeeper in the gym. Because honestly, I've started recognizing that to be the best goalkeeper coach I can be right now, I really need to start training more like a field player. Now, what I mean by that is focus on my range of motion, focus on my flexibility. Because what am I doing most of my session? Striking balls, but not just striking dead balls. I'm striking moving balls. And you know, like Dan, like I think you were actually even bring up the fact is that if we're just doing isolated movements, that's not realistic to the game. So we have to be able, as best as we can, to be able to hit a moving ball and be flexible enough to be able to strike it so that it's not, for lack of a better term, predictable where it's going to go. You know, all of that.
Yeah, definitely. I think even working with the goalkeepers in the gym, doing the the band work that they do, that those type of stuff is so valuable to any young goalkeeper coach. And if you can get in with the gym and you can do it, if you can't, then you just need to go and buy yourself a band. And it's just getting before the goalkeepers, if they're in the gym, you can get out 5 minutes before when you're putting your cones out and just get that band work going. It'll just open the obviously the muscles up and the hips up, and then just get a couple of reps going just so you're warm. It'll literally take 5 minutes, and I think that will be invaluable for then the session, for your quality, for the striking of the ball, and for the goalkeeper at the end of it.
Yeah, but Mike, I think you're right. You do have to look at it different like that. There's no way that I need to lift the way I lifted when I was 28. Like or before or after Omar. You know, I don't need to do that type of stuff. It's more range of motion. It's more high reps, low weight, ropes and all of that stuff. So it's more fluid and everything. And because we're striking the ball now, you know, you're striking. I'm not, you know, going for crosses. I'm not doing all that stuff. Like, so, you know, you have to train to use your shot to do all of that. So I think that is the right approach, Mike, for sure.
Omar, I want to ask you about that because, you know, you're this guru where you said you get almost a little obsessive and you're like, I have to hit the perfect strike. I have to hit the perfect strike. How often do you spend preparing to warm up for a session, or do you just hop out there, Mr. 28?
No, I think I used to, and then I used to have a lot of sessions back to back. And as I got older and older, I realized, man, I have a lot of bad habits that I need to kind of shape. And I think the band work is super, you know, super beneficial for your groin, your hamstrings, and even just doing body weight stretches prior to stuff is super important. So I have invested in like a Theragun now. I ice my back, I ice my hips after practice. So I've been doing a lot of that stuff so that I'm fresh the next day. And it's almost like you can almost turn it into you're an athlete again, you're a player again. And then like for me, my games are the sessions. I prepare, I draw out my sessions, I prepare it, I go out there, and at the same time now I can kind of refine my skill set. But I think, again, to be at your best every day, you got to make sure you have a proper stretch routine. And that's what I do before every practice. I stretch about 15 minutes. So I get out there about an hour before, I set everything up. And then for like 45 to the last, 15 minutes of the little warm-up session, I take care of my body. I stretch, I do all that stuff, and then I'm ready to strike. I'm actually looking for some shots right now.
Do you cool down afterwards?
I do. Yeah, I do.
It was rhetorical.
No, I do, but I'm trying to find a clip from this weekend session.
This is all about us. This is all about us critiquing Omar.
No, you'll see. My striking has gotten so much better. I can strike left foot, right foot. It's pretty nice. I can finish like technically with my right foot, or my left foot. It's pretty clean.
Just
anyway,
continue. Ego boost going on. Dan, do you have any sessions you want to? Do you have any share sessions you want to share of you striking the ball recently?
Not of the goalkeeper saving the ball, of you striking.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, I haven't got anything that I can produce now. Like, but I mean we have a lot of photographers at the game more than anything. We don't really have, big thing for us is we don't film training, which I'm a real advocate for trying to get someone to try and film it. Because then I think as a coach, you see things in the moment. Fine.
Hold on, there's not one person in Blackburn that has a tripod. You can just set up a camera.
Well, so we only have, there's only 5 staff. So 3 outfield, 1 goalkeeper coach, and then the physio. So we are really limited because we are only a semi-pro club. So I think for us, if we did have a guy with a camera or someone like that I think in the moment you see things and you coach and you go, right, I seen that bit of technique. But then when you watch it back, you see something a little bit different sometimes, and you can give that fine bit of detail to the goalkeeper that might make the difference from making that 89th minute save because they don't move their feet quick enough, right, or they don't get one step in that you just didn't see because you were looking at the hands or whatever it may be. So I think filming for me is a big part of what we should be doing.
And I agree with that, because sometimes like when we're doing, let's say we have 2 small-sided games going on, and I'm maybe watching one of the other 4 goalkeepers, and then one of the other goalkeepers will come up to me and be like, that second goal against me, this and that and the other, and I'll be like, my eyes weren't on their field, but we have somebody videoing every single session. So I can ask them specifically, send me the clip of, the small-sided games of all of, this is, UCLA. So we have that things of those minutes, just her saves, just that. And I can go over it with her. And it is important because sometimes I don't see it even just coaching somebody else. Like my head can't be, all over the place at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Just be careful. Honestly, I'll tell you, just be careful. I know we all look at technical stuff, but when you become a elite striker like myself in my sessions, I don't look at the goalkeepers anymore. I watch my striking form.
You watch the ball.
Do I land on my striking? Do I land on my striking foot or my hips facing the goal? All these little things that you would never know if you didn't have the film. And I want to show you one clip here, guys. All right. I hope my Wi-Fi is not bad. All right, so we do in possession, out of possession here to finish the practice. So we have like little like areas set up here where you have to find the open man, and then that person can do whatever they want. So I'll just let it play. See how it looks.
Not bad. Don't see you though. Oh.
Oh, way to kill a kid's
He's celebrating
confidence.
right now.
You know.
Yeah.
So I had a clip.
Kids. Are those one of those kids that the parents didn't sign them back up?
No, they
It looks like you're
they had
back passes there. Working on back passes.
No, I did I sent it to my friends, like a clip that I did a few days ago. I sent it to my friends, and they were just like, they were like, Omar, do you like? Because you can see it in like the wide frame. The dad was sitting there on his little lawn chair, and my friend was like, Omar, like, does the dad get pissed off that you're literally celebrating on camera you scoring on his daughter? Like, does he get upset? I'm just like, I never asked him, but I'm sure he's not happy.
I believe you celebrate. Sometimes I do too, but
oh, heck yeah.
But then I'll be like, I'll be like this, but they'll be like, nobody was getting that ball. And I'll be like, I don't care what goalkeeper you are, nobody's getting that. So I make them feel a little better.
Yeah.
This topic is let me show how great I am, Omar Zeenni.
No. I just want to show.
I love it. Look at the parents watching.
Look
at the parents watching. Let's see. I want to see.
Do like a little cutback.
Oh, in their little chairs. Look at that sprint, Omar. Oh,
what?
What?
Oh.
They're like Gio Reyna for Dortmund this weekend.
You like high five. Did you even notice did you please tell me you noticed what the keeper did wrong, or were you?
Oh, I did. There's like a mud pile there, so she was slipping. No, when I strike the ball, I obviously.
Were you watching the ball go in the back of the net? Then you're high fiving your friend, and the keeper's like, "Coach, what could I have done there?" You're like, "I don't know. I was watching the ball."
I don't know. Did you not see that?
Honestly,
you know what you could do there? You could pick my ball up out of the back of the net.
Look,
well, hold on.
You know what I tell them sometimes? I'll say, look, Saskia, I'm going to be honest with you. You're not going to be playing on the weekend against a class striker like that, so you'll probably be able to say that in the game. So I say stuff like that, and they just go, "Oh my god!" But no, it's fun. It makes the sessions fun too. You have a little banter back and forth, and you can actually you have fun striking the ball, and you can actually make the goalkeeper as well think of not just a very predictable hip, or you can open your hips up and it's obviously going to go far post. Now you start challenging them mentally, and you go, hey, look, I'm going to be creative with this finish, and obviously now I have more balance because I've been doing a lot more of this. And you're not going to know if I'm going to go near post or far post. I need you to hold, stay big as long as you can. So you can kind of get creative with it as well. And now as a striker, essentially, you can kind of get creative with it as well as a shooting the ball in practice.
But you just brought up a really good point, Omar. And Dan, I want to ask you about that, because the thing is that if you don't take care of your body, if you don't work on the band work like you're talking about, and you
always
don't work
bringing
on
it back to the topic, Mike, I love it.
No, I got to do what I got to do.
We can sit here and pat you on the back for the next.
No. I just Mike does a really good job of his transitions, but he always does these funny things where it's just so, of course, you want to finish. So taking care of your body so you can. It's just a very very interesting.
Well, but I think
love it too. Mike, if we didn't have you, we'd just be sitting here listening to Omar talk
down different rabbit holes
for an hour. Dee and I would be sitting here like this.
I'd be like, brilliant.
Yeah.
Have to get you signed up with an agency.
I'll send your clips on to the men's squad.
Oh, I appreciate that. Let Juan know what I said.
But it is true. It is true. If you don't do that, then you are limited in what you can do. And I think one of the things as goalkeeper coaches, Dan, is that we have to be flexible with our sessions. And the only way to be flexible with your sessions is if you can basically replicate every type of movement the goalkeeper is going to be able to see in a game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we were saying before about Omar was saying, the strike is always perfect. And you were saying about it has to be like what Omar is. For me, it doesn't have to be. If you see the goalkeeper going one side too far, and I can kill it in the near post to say, well, actually you're positioning, you went in line, down the line. For me, then I'm all right with that, because that's predictable within the game. That is absolutely. If a striker sees that the goalkeeper is, sometimes gambling to one side because that's where the ball's been going, because that's where the strike's been going every single time.
Because that's the drill.
that's the drill. Absolutely not. I'm all about realism. If the goalkeeper starts, if we're just working, let's say, I don't know, low dives, and they're constantly, you see them not setting, and then they're already attacking the ball, and they're making, 9 times out of 10, they're making the saves. Well, yeah, that's because your momentum is already taking you that side. You're not setting when you're meant to be setting. So I think I absolutely agree. Your technique has got to be good, but I don't think it has to be perfect every single time for the session to run, because then it's more real within the game. So
well, yeah. I'll even tell when we have functional training and I get the forwards and we're working on something specific. Let's say driving to the end line and sliding the ball, right? And so we're working on how to manage that near post and then cut off that slided ball. I'll be like, if you catch them leaning, you have the go through to tuck it in your post. Yeah. I said, because they know the drill. They know that this is what we're working on, is to see their range off that post into that slotted ball into the top of the 6, that's cutting across. They know that's what I want. That's what we're working on. But they're just going to start leaning, and I'll tell the forwards, I go ahead, do it. I'll tell, or I'll do it. I'll be like, there you go. I know you know the drill, but this isn't the game. Play the game. And
Absolutely. What I will say to Danielle's point is, I did say it has to be perfect when you're working on the bubble. When you're trying to refine the goalkeepers before games, or even a day before a game, you don't want them to hit the body. So I say perfect in that sense. But then second thing is, how many kids? I had a kid this past weekend, young girl who's in the group. She was probably the lowest of the level. And we're playing through balls, and I give her a through ball, and she's taking her sweet time, going so slow on the. I'm like, you're not gonna have that time in a game as a striker. You're gonna have a defender breathing down your neck. You need to understand.
Yeah, well, that's a big deal. That's a big, but I will cut it, because I get on when we do functional. I'll get on when Sam will run the forwards, and I'll have the goalkeepers, and if it's not game speed.
Exactly.
I'll be like, come on. And I'll yell at the forwards. I'll be like, guys, this has to be game speed. And you can't take 4 touches on this pass. What are you doing? Or you can't, and honestly, you can't even take 2 touches. This is the type of patch. It's got to be a 1-touch finisher. You got to be working on what you're working on. But, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm still going to tuck it in. And I'll just be like, dude, you're not training my keepers. You're not doing anything right now. You've got to be game speed and at that intensity, and the thought that there is somebody breathing down my neck.
Yeah, and I've done that. I've done that before, and the last 5 sessions, I thought it'd be cool to mic myself up. So I had one of those Rode microphones here that was a wireless one, and oh my god, I had to stop because I was sending it to them as if they had a ASMR from Darth Vader. It was literally just after every run I would make on 1v1s, I would just go back. I'm like, God damn it! I would breathe under my breath, and I'm like, oh my God, now they can hear, because I send them the footage after practice, and they're probably just what the hell is he I'm walking around I'm in shape, and then I'm actually yeah, guys, we're gonna run that back. Give me a second here. I'm hiding behind the big inflatable dummies, oh my God.
So Omar, remember what Saskia said? There's a certain template of fitness that needs to be maintained, Omar, and then you build from there. So you got to start doing those 120s and 300s again.
No, I do that, but when you're striking the ball at the intensity that I strike it, you're gonna get tired, no matter what, no matter what intensity of fitness level you have.
By the way, Dan, you brought up something really good that I want to talk about too, because sometimes some of the best coaching moments I've had have been because I mishit the ball. And it's produced a coachable moment because it was unpredictable, mainly because that's not what I meant to do.
Or it's produced an even greater save out of your goalkeeper, because your coaching, they didn't cheat. They didn't do this. They even though their movement was bringing pass across the goal, they stayed square, and they didn't cheat, and they repositioned themselves and went back the other direction. And to see keepers do that progression is awesome, because you miss hit the ball, because now they're focusing on the ball and on the shot and not on the drill.
Yeah. And one of the things I think that I made was a big mistake that I really think young goalkeeper coaches need to hear out there is that you can't be warming up at the same time as your goalkeepers are. You need to be warmed up before they begin their warm up. And I as a young coach, I made that mistake. I would use warm up for me to warm up too. Well, guess what? Guess what's going to happen? Their warm up's not going to be as good as it could be because I'm sloppy, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I think the warm up is key to the session. If you have a sloppy warm up, you're going to have most of the time a sloppy session. So I think if you prepare, beforehand, have them prepared into the warm-up, have them focused. I think goalkeeping is a lot about physical, but it's also mental preparation. So that warm-up is mental preparation. So this is what we're going to do today, guys. This is, and you start already mentally preparing them for what we're going to be doing. And then that takes the momentum into the game. So I think a big part of their warm-up for me is just talking them through the session, what we're going to do, how, and getting them mentally ready.
Right. Well, I also think that if you are using that time, young goalkeeper coaches out there, if you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to get myself warmed up, doing their warm up, like hitting them volleys, hitting them like balls off the ground, and you're not ready to do that. And so it's a shank, or it's not quality service, or it's not this because you're using that time to, well, they've already done their warm up. Let's say it's running, stretching, like with you two, it's the team. So they're like, their blood's flowing, they're ready to go. And now you're cold and you're trying to strike balls and you're shanking the ball. Well, that's just hurting them, so you have to be physically ready to start doing that as well. Right when they're ready to go.
Yeah.
But I will say, guys, I think all of us can say this though.
Absolutely. I know what you're going to say.
We normally, what am I going to say?
You're going to say, we use that time sometimes to warm up. Is that what you're going to say?
On our backups. So whenever before, like in warm-ups, I remember one time that we had a goalkeeper who obviously he wanted to start, and we had a starting goalkeeper who was the go-to guy. And I remember I had a warm-up where like I missed 5 or 6 volleys, and then I got the starter in, and I hit him perfect every single time. And the kid kind of like walked up to me, he's like, as a joke, he's like, "Coach, like, do you hate me or something? Like, I just feel like you always miss volleys and do everything wrong against me. And then when Alex steps in the goal, you look amazing. Like, is it like, did I say something?" I'm like, no. He was like, "You didn't do anything. I'm sorry. I really don't know. I get him out of the way with you. And then when I get myself like sharp and I get all the balls out of the way, then I go to the next guy." So that's what I tell people too. When you
myself from it. I've actually pulled myself from it. Like I've realized I wasn't warmed up and stuff like that, and I'm shanking balls, and I'll be like, "Okay, Hannah, you warm up. you guys knock the ball back and forth. Like you guys do this, like because I'm not gonna keep ruining this session right now."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why when I post,
No, go ahead. I want to hear about the next posting. So.
No, so when I post on my channel, people like even in I have like the young kids will come in and train with me, and I'm missing some volleys, and they're just like, "We don't see this on your YouTube videos." I'm like, "Yeah, that footage gets buried. There's no that doesn't even exist on the hard drives." Once I see that, I go, "Okay, there you go. Just put it in here." It's gone. But yeah, I think that's you need to obviously get yourself warmed up, and that's why getting to sessions early is super important.
Dan, I have a question for you in regards to this, because there's a lot of different, for lack of a better term, philosophies on this. And that is, if you're injured as a goalkeeper coach, should you still be running the session, or should you be doing hand service, or should you be only having the other goalkeepers do it? Out of ego, I know myself when I've been injured and I shouldn't be running a session, I've still run sessions because I'm like, well, I can get this done. It's not that hard. I can do this or whatever. And then all that happened, this actually happened to me for like, and I was working with Development Academy, so very high level U.S. Development Academy kids for about 3 months. And I was consistently sore and hurt. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to pull through it. Next thing I know, I have a labral tear because I've been working through it over and over again and not taking the proper care of myself and just thinking like, oh, you know what, it's fine. I'll deal with it when the season's over. And what's your thoughts on that, and how do we handle that?
Yeah, I think for me, you use it as a player, right? So if a player was, I'll get through this bit, I'll get through this game, I'll get through it, and then they become injured fully, you would look at them and go, you're not taking responsibility. If you're injured,
Absolutely.
You're injured. So if you're a goalkeeper coach and you're injured, you need to take responsibility of that and go, right, I can still produce a session, I can still be there, I can still oversee it, but then you just have to adapt it. you adapt it to, if you have 1, 2, 3 goalkeepers, whatever it may be, you adapt it to what you have and your resources that you've got. But you can still be there. You can still, you know, it doesn't take much for you to be at the side and still see the technique, or stop the session because you want to coach or whatever. But I think you've got to absolutely look at it from a player's point of view. If one of your players did that, then you would be like, you're not taking responsibility for yourself there, you know?
Yeah, no, I the same thing. Like I would expect, like, you have to lead by example as well.
Yeah.
And like, you know, my players know, like, if I've pulled something, or if like something's off, or, you know, my knee will swell up sometimes, and they'll know, number one, I'll probably be out there in my sneakers. And no, I'm serious. And they'll know, coach, how's your knee, or whatever, you know, and I'll tweak my session, and I'm not doing the services. I have to take care of it. Yeah. And I expect them to do the same. And when they don't, they know, because that happened towards the end of the season, to the end of the fall. Like, one of my players didn't say anything. Now she's out. And I was, you know, I would never do that, because I don't have a leg to stand on then. Well, you know, they know I've tweaked something, they know I've hurt, but I've pushed through it, and now they do. So what am I going to say to them? You know, well, you saw me do it. You know, nope, I spoke up. So you have to lead by example.
That's a really good point about not being a hypocrite like that. Like, Omar, I know that's something that you actually dealt with. I don't know if it was not this past year, but the year before, where you actually had a groin issue that was really making it very difficult for you to produce those social media sensation type strikes that showed to us recently.
That's, you know, and that's the hard part too, because I remember I was out complaining, but like Sasha said, like, sometimes if your service isn't there, you remove yourself. My pride didn't let me. So I was hitting, because I came back from Armenia, Mike, and I played in a tournament there, and we had like 7 games in 6 days. No, 7 games in 8 days, excuse me. And my body, my groin, my quad, everything was completely shot, because I hadn't played in so long and I didn't strengthen the area. So I went from there, flew home, went straight to double days at Cal State LA. And I remember we were doing a crossing session, and my crosses were just awful. I was shanking them, mishitting them, and it was just supposed to be just kind of getting the guys loosened up. And one of the goalkeepers looks at me, he was just like, huh, okay, that's not a pro coach type service. And I was just like, oh man, like, I just felt so embarrassed. I'm like, damn,
it's a call. You that's my whole point about you gotta keep that like, you're up here. You're up here. You gotta stay up there.
Yeah, no.
You gotta say, I'm off. Don't let them see it. You got to pull it down, figure another way. Don't get in goal. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You got
so, does everyone see that type of service? Yeah. Okay, now I want you to do it even better.
Don't do what I just did.
Yeah. Want it even better. Okay, I'm going to step out.
Yeah, I'm showing you how not to make the save. So it's the opposite.
You just trash yourself.
Oh my God. I can't tell you how many times I've done that before. I've stepped into a demo and it hasn't gone well. And I've played it off completely, like who's listening right now, like that. Before I'm like, so now what I should have done in that situation is this. And I wanted you guys to recognize how I was shifting, and then I start breaking down what I did wrong.
Yeah. I don't put myself there. And then I'll be like, what did I say? I'm like,
Saskia, you can just walk in with medals around your neck and just have it dangling. You just hey guys, sorry.
Yeah, I don't have to prove anything anymore. Like, I think I said that last time. Like, Sam and them looked at me to get in goal. I was like, I don't have to prove anything anymore. I'm not getting in goal. And then Sam got my back to Amanda, and Sam got my back. She was just like, yeah, well, you know, it's not like just like one of us like jumping on the field and passing the ball. Like, you know, your body had. I go, exactly. That's exactly why. I'm cold. That's exactly why I'm not jumping in that goal right now. I'm like, no, actually, it's because they kicked the ball really, really, really fast, really, really, really hard. And I'm so not at their pace right now. I could not even compete like at all.
By the way, that is really interesting that you said that in regards to the field player coaches saying the thing. I think field player coaches, and I don't know if whoever wants to talk about this or whatever, I don't think they understand how much physical work we actually do in a session.
I'll say it to them all the time. Somebody back when I was coaching club, and I think Kelly or Melee said something to me, you know, how much about them. And I was like, yeah, you know, they said something about the keepers. I was like, oh, I'm like dripping sweat or something. I'm like, yeah, you know, I don't sit on a folding chair. Like, you know, it was like 100 degrees out. I'm dripping sweat. I'm like, yeah, I'm not sitting over there on a folding chair telling people what to do. I was like, I actually have to get involved.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Go on, what were you going to say?
Go, Dan.
Dan, go ahead. I'll say it after.
I was just going to say, is like, so obviously this year it's kind of a new assistant coach, and they came over when they weren't part of their session and was like, I can't believe how much technical detail you've got to give, and then also service. She was like, the detail that you give, and then you've also got to have the quality of the strike or cross a ball, or and she was like, her head was blown. She was like, I'm going to keep coming over every couple of sessions because I want to see what you guys are doing. And she just literally couldn't believe how much we actually physically do, and then obviously technical detail as well. So yeah.
Go ahead, Omar. Now you can share.
It's honestly, it had nothing to do with the topic. I had a.
Just gonna say how good I was.
No, it's just funny. We had a goalkeeper coach tore his Achilles in college, and I remember it was during one of our spring games. So he was like on one crutch, and he was rolling the balls back so our goalkeeper can do goal kicks. So I was the second goalkeeper that day, and I went to the midfield to catch the balls. So they served it in. And I caught it. I put it down. So I wanted to pass it back and I wanted to get it as close to him as I possibly could. So he had to just crutch a little bit. It hit him in his torn Achilles that was wrapped up and like all that stuff. And
I bet you never played again.
But we laugh about it.
Blacklisted.
We laugh about it now,
Yeah.
When it happened, it was just like, oh my God, of literally all the patches of grass on that field that I could have hit, and I hit your torn Achilles, and it was just like me and the other goalkeeper just could not stop laughing. We're just like, dude, what are the odds?
Yeah.
Anyways, that was my story of like a goalkeeper coach trying to do too much, and we didn't help him at all. He wouldn't help us.
No, you actually injured him more.
We did it worse. Yeah, we did it worse.
You picked me as second goalkeeper.
Remember that Achilles?
Yeah.
By the way, this is the second story you've shared of hitting somebody that was in a vulnerable position. That poor little girl.
Oh my God, yeah, dude. I tell you, and that goalkeeper coach, before we played against like Santa Barbara, like Cal Poly, like big games, he would always pass me balls back slow, and he'd like, I want you to kick it into the stands. Let the fan section know. It was all like the student section. They would call you all these words and stuff. So I would always hit like side volleys or like miss goal kicks into the stands and try and hit them. It was a little pastime that we used to have to get them riled up, but it was so fun. And I remember because the fans would be like they would yell at me. They would say some like obscene stuff. You have the worst accuracy. You're the worst. Oh my God. And like in the game, I would hit like a nice ball, like a driven ball, and it would go right to my player. And I look at him like, what do you guys think now? And it was just like, it was a perfect setup to like make them see.
Oh my gosh.
It was
this is
so
like,
fun. I just miss playing.
This should be Omar's Glory Days. This is the Omar Glory Day podcast.
I know Saskia, showing up with Olympic and World Cup medals. I'm showing up with like a YouTube plaque. You know what I mean? Just like, I don't have much to offer other than that.
By the way, meanwhile, Dan's not even shared. She shared one story of playing for England, and Omar shared 13 stories of UC Davis.
Shows you the humility,
Oh my gosh! Well, as we start wrapping up here, guys. And first off, Dan, thanks for taking all the time. I know it's late at night right now. For you, I think it's like 11 o'clock or whatever. So I appreciate you. Taking the time. But if you had to give like kind of like a little bit of advice to a young goalkeeper who is now transitioning, literally like your situation right now, they were playing last season, the club has decided to keep them on to bring them onto staff. What would be your advice to them regarding like how to handle the transition?
I think be kind to yourself. I think you need to realize that it is a big jump from playing and you're in the moment and you're as the goalkeeper, potentially all the pressure's on you to be in the goalkeeper coach and having that. You have to kind of give that pressure away to the goalkeeper. So I think for me, the biggest one is I had to be kind to myself to be okay with passing on that responsibility to that goalkeeper, and then having that having the like confidence in yourself to be able to know that through the week or whatever it may be, that you've done enough to make that goalkeeper ready at the end of the week. And, you know, they're always going to make mistakes. It's a goalkeeper, you know, you're going to have 90 minutes and they're going to potentially drop one in the back of the net. And it's just sometimes one of those things that you've just got to pick your goalkeeper up. And so, yeah, for me, it's the be kind to you, be kind to your goalkeeper. And then, yeah, just keep trying to develop that small bits at a time, bits at a time.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything else anybody wants to add on to that? Omar, do you have a UC Davis story?
No, but it's true. And I like that be kind to your goalkeepers and pick them up, because field player coaches and field players don't really get it and they don't understand goalkeeping, and we do. And, you know, they get on them and they hear them and they don't know what they're talking about sometimes. And so, you know, you have to have that relationship, and you have to be able to, you know, to do that with your keepers.
Yeah, having that good goalkeeper, like, so it's not just you, the goalkeeper, and the other goalkeeper, it's you, the goalkeeper, and the other three goalkeepers. And I think having that real good union of goalkeepers is, obviously you've got to have that line of when, you know, when they make the mistake, they need to know when. But I think you've got, if you know the goalkeeper and you know when to be kind to them, I think that was the biggest thing for me, is understanding. Like, I know when I was a player, I didn't want to be spoken to after the game. If I've made a mistake, I didn't want to be spoken to. So just getting to know that personality of the goalkeepers first of all.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point too. I think when you step into the coaching role, I think you try to prove yourself as a coach. And I mean, I use myself as an example, and Mike knows this. I've you know, been infamous for saying certain things that I wanted to be and you know, be the best goalkeeper coach out there. That's what I wanted to do when I got into coaching. But in reality, like you said, listen to your players. Every goalkeeper has a different way they approach the game in terms of their warm up, in terms of the conversations that you have with them, in terms of, you know, a day before a game. If you just had a game on a Friday, use that Saturday. They want to train. It's like, no. Like, I know you want to train, but I'm going to protect you from yourself. But then some of those guys just want to take like 5-6 volleys, and then at least in their head, they had a session. But if you don't listen to them and you don't allow them to be themselves, to make them obviously the best version of themselves, which will make you happy and the coach happy, that's the next step. So I think, again, it's not proving anything, but going out there and listening to the goalkeepers, because you were just in that position, and having a coach who actually wants to hear you versus tell you what to do is a game changer. And I think that's really what causes great synergy.
Yeah. And by the way, Dan, as we're wrapping up right now, you know, one thing that we've really been really an advocate for and a proponent for, you know, is for players like yourself, you know, to transition into coaching. You know, I think that there's been for a long time, a lot of goalkeepers just kind of wanted to move off, and they didn't want to do, which is fine or whatever. But, you know, I think the game is really blessed to have people like yourself, you know,
absolutely,
who've been literally at the highest levels with England, all the way down, and bring that knowledge back, you know. Obviously you have Fran at the club right now. And, you know, I think the best thing for her is the fact that she's on loan, you know, from a big club like United, and getting those reps with you. And then you've been in that same situation as her before, so you can really help guide her. So really awesome.
Yeah,
no, absolutely. We need more female goalkeeper coaches across the board out there. At all levels, and especially pro, and even in the NWSL, and, you know, even on the national team and stuff like that. No offense to anybody or anything like that, but even if it's the youth national team levels or U20s or whatever, but we have to start implementing that. And I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
Or Omar will take all the jobs, and we don't want that.
Yeah, no, listen, you know, I love the current, I think that the current national team staff's great and everything like that. But we have to start moving females into, like I said, even if it's the lower roles, and then NWSL, come on, there's so many good female goalkeeper coaches out there here in the United States and abroad. There's got to be more.
Yeah.
You know?
See, in the UK, there's probably, so I went on one of a coaching course just before COVID, and I was the only female coach, only goalkeeper female coach. And I'm just like, wow, like,
exactly.
We need to promote this. We need to get people involved. Like, every club has at least 3 goalkeepers, right? So why, you know, at the end of being a goalkeeper as a player, why would you not want to pass that, you know, knowledge and information on? For me,
but it's also those network. It's also the network. Like, you know, it's the old boys network. You got a male head coach. He's going to bring in all his boys and stuff like that. You know how I feel about, like, I'm like, why can't a woman be the coach of the U.S. men's national team? We've won. You know, we
Don't
obviously
break
know
barriers.
we obviously know what we're doing. So figure it out. Like, sorry, you know, it's the same sport. Like,
I think it's the same in the UK. I think people are breaking barriers now, and there's a top female coaches in the UK, and I think it is definitely slowly progressing, slowly.
Yeah. Are there how many goalkeeper? I mean, you know, and again, this is not, you know, I'm Omar and I are staying out of this, you know, but basically, like, I want to know, like, how many female goalkeeper coaches do you come in contact with in the UK? Because I'm curious, because you know,
so
I want to see it more too.
I'd probably able to count them on one hand. So there's definitely one. There's one at Liverpool, and there's definitely one in the England setup in the youth levels. But other than that, maybe 3 or 4, and that's poor. Now you go to head coaches, and that is in UK. I'd say the majority of the head coaches are female. So why wouldn't you want the females to come into the goalkeeper? You know, as a coaches, I've never had a female coach as a goalkeeper, as a player. So for me, I'm hopefully paving the way a little bit for female players to come through.
Absolutely.
Well, Dan, we'll have to have you come back. I mean, honestly, like, you know, this has been a really fun time, and like, we just can't wait to see your progress.
Don't worry, we'll edit out all Omar talking about himself. It's okay.
Please do.
Omar couldn't join us for this.
Almost just a blank screen.
If people want to connect with you on social media, where's the best place?
Probably Twitter. Twitter's me where I go for all my football stuff. So I don't even know my handle. That's really bad because I don't ever tweet myself. So you're best putting it up as a little thing. I think it's like Danielle or something. I don't know.
We'll put it up.
Well, we definitely will put it up, guys. And remember, if you want to reach out to Saskia Weber at Saskia_Weber on all social media platforms.
Omar's #1 fan.
Omar, you can reach out to at best striker in the world on Instagram.
I gotta start taking those tags on social media just in case.
Oh my gosh, guys. Remember, guest suggestion or topic suggestion. Shout out to people who have brought this out as a topic suggestion. It is definitely something. Shout out to Jake Davis. I know this is a topic that you wanted to get to, University of Virginia goalkeeper coach. At Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms. That's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys.